What is up, everyone? Hello. Welcome to this Tech Talk. So in this Tech Talk, I will be discussing an intro to control statements in Java. And more specifically, I will be going over an overview, conditional statements, as well as looping statements, finally branching statements, and then I'll do some coding examples. As always, my video is timestamped. So if you have a specific topic that you would like to learn more about, you could just go down into the description and click on that timestamp. So let's waste no more time and let's get right into this tech talk. So Java provides a variety of control flow statements to manage program execution. So what do? They control the flow of execution in a program and allow you to alter the order in which statements are executed, make decisions, and repeat blocks of code based on certain conditions. So we'll start with the if statement. And the if statement allows you to conditionally execute a block of code based on a Boolean condition. The if-else statement extends this capability, providing an alternative block of code to execute when the condition is false. The switch statement is used for multiple conditional branches, providing a more efficient alternative to nested if-else constructs. For loops offer a structured way to iterate over a sequence of values with a specified initialization, condition, and increment. While loops execute a block of code repeatedly as long as a given condition remains true. Do-while loops are similar to the while loops, but they differ in that they ensure that a code block runs at least once before evaluating the condition. The break statement is used to exit a loop prematurely, while the continue statement allows you to skip to a current iteration and proceed to the next one. Finally, the return statement is used within methods to specify the value to be returned to the caller. So these control flow statements are essential for designing flexible and responsive Java programs. So in Java, conditional statements are vital for making decisions in your code. The if statement allows you to execute a block of code only if a given condition is true. You can extend its functionality by using if-else statements, which enable you to provide an alternative block of code to execute when the condition is false. The switch statement is particularly useful when you have multiple possible conditions to evaluate. So it lets you compare a variable or expression against various values or cases, and based on the match, a specific block of code is executed. These conditional statements are essential tools for controlling the flow of your Java programs, enabling them to respond dynamically to all different types of situations and input. So in Java, looping statements provide the means to execute a block of code repeatedly. The for loop offers a structured approach, making it suitable for iterating over a known range of values. On the other hand, the while loop repeatedly executes a block of code as long as a specified condition remains true, providing flexibility when the exact number of iterations is uncertain. Lastly, the do while loop is similar to the while loop, but guarantees at least one execution of the code block before checking the condition. So this makes it a little bit more useful for scenarios where you want to code or run at least once. So these looping statements are fundamental for creating efficient and responsive Java programs that handle repetitive tasks and dynamic situations. These branching statements provide control over program flow and are useful in different scenarios. So, first off, understanding their purpose and usage will help you in controlling the behavior of loops, breaking out of loops or switch statements, and prematurely terminating method execution. So, the break statement is used within loops, such as the for loop, while loop, or switch, to prematurely exit the loop execution. So, when encountered, it immediately terminates the loop, allowing you to break out of an iteration based on a specific condition. So keep in mind that it's handy for situations where you need to stop a loop prematurely. The continue statement is also used within loops to skip the current iteration and move to the next one. Based on a specific condition, it allows you to bypass certain iterations of a loop without terminating the loop entirely. So this is useful when you want to skip certain elements or conditions within a loop. In Java methods, the return statement is used to exit the method's execution and return a value if the method has a return type. It provides the ability to pass back a result to the caller of the method. So once a return statement is encountered, the method terminates and control returns to the calling code along with the specified value. These branching statements are essential tools for controlling the flow of your Java programs, allowing you to break out of certain loops skip iterations, and provide results from methods effectively. We have three different questions here related to control statements. These are just a few examples. You can modify them or create your own variations to practice and further enhance your understanding of control statements a bit more. So with these three questions, we're going to focus on the if-else statement, the nested if statement, and using nested for loops. So for question one, we have write a Java program to check if a given number is even or odd using an if-else statement. So I already have the base code set up here, as you can see. And on line 1, we are importing the java.util.scanner interface. So my thought process with this is we will read an integer input from a user and just check to see if that number is even or odd. So we'll start with creating a new scanner object to read input from the user. And then we will prompt the user to enter a number. And then we will read that integer input from the user and store it in the number variable. All right, so now let's check if the number is even, and we'll do this by dividing it by 2 and checking the remainder. So there we have it. If the remainder is 0 from the number modulo 2, the number is even. And if the remainder is not 0, the number is odd. All right, on to question number 2. Write a Java program to find the largest among 3 numbers using nested if statements. All right, so we already have the public class largest number, and we have the main method. So let's do the same thing we did in the first question and create a new scanner object to read input from the user. All right, and let's prompt the user to enter 3 numbers. And we will read these 3 integer inputs from the user and store them in variables num1, num2, and num3. All right, so how are we going to find the largest among 3 numbers? So what we could do is we could first just assume that num1 is the largest number initially. And then now let's do some checking. So we'll check if num2 is greater than the current largest number, which is num1. If num2 is greater, let's update the largest number. And now let's check if num3 is greater than the current largest number. And so now we'll print the result indicating the largest number among these 3 inputs. Question 3. Write a Java program to display a multiplication table using nested for loops. All right, so I think the first step is to set the size of the multiplication table. As you know, it would be 10, 0 through 9. And then let's create an outer loop. We'll have an outer for loop that'll iterate through the multiplicands from 1 to table size. All right, and then we will have a nested inner loop for iterating through the multipliers from 1 to table size. And let's print the result. And then outside of the nested for loop, we will move to the next line after printing the multipliers for the current multiplicand. That is all that I have for you today. I hope you now have a better understanding of the Java control statements and found the coding examples helpful. I do have one-page cheat sheets that include all the information covered in this video, all in one page. So if you would like to purchase them, head over to my website at tylerlcrawford.com. Also, if you have any questions or suggestions for new topics, leave a comment. Thank you for engaging in this Tech Talk, and I'll see you in the next one.